use some of the couple of the cheeses that I've made. So I'm going to make a simple spinach lasagna and use my mozzarella and ricotta in it. It's just some olive oil warming up. I just turned the heat on there. And a couple of onions. Still using my own onions, lots left. Should last for another couple of months or so yet, I guess. A bit of salt helps to soften the onions up a bit, helps them release some of their water. And some cracked black pepper. And the seasoning that I'm using is an in-store brand called Compliments, one of our large grocery chains here. Their in-store brand is called Compliments, if you can see that. And it's just called Italian seasoning. I'm going to put a couple of teaspoons in. I like it. It has a nice flavor. I'll read you what it says on the back about the herbs that are in it. Fresh package I just bought the other day for something else I was doing. The ingredients are marjoram, thyme, rosemary, savory, sage, oregano, and sweet basil. It has a nice flavor. I don't know what the proportions are of those things. This is the sauce for what I'm starting here for the lasagna. A vegetarian meat sauce there. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. And this is 4 cloves of garlic, and a bit of the skin on that, but it's a very small cloves, so a couple of large cloves or 4 small cloves of garlic. I wish I could tell you the brand name of this. I buy it in a pack that has 4 of these in, and it's a vegetarian soy-based substitute for ground beef, hamburger, whatever. I used to eat meat, so I know what ground beef hamburger was like. And this, I don't know, I think I could serve this to somebody in a sauce like this and they would never know the difference if it wasn't actually hamburger being used or ground beef. It even has that little bit of a gristly texture. Not a pleasant flavor, but it's protein also. So this adds protein along with the cheese and my spinach pizza here. Doesn't have to be cooked. It's already ready to eat. And to that, 1 bottle of my tomato sauce that I made from my fresh tomatoes last summer and a lot of basil. I've just about got the water in a large stock pot next to me here, starting to boil to cook the lasagna noodles, and I'll thin this out with some of the water from the pasta water. Far too thick right there, but that's basically it for the meat sauce, and we'll come back in a moment here. Well, that's a 500-gram package of chopped spinach, frozen, and when you thaw it up, of course, it's mostly water. So I have taken it by the handful and squeezed out as much of the liquid as possible. To that, I'll have spinach in my ricotta here yet. To that, adding some of my homemade ricotta. Quite a bit of my homemade ricotta. Not measuring it, but I'll do about half of this container, I guess. Ricotta's been made for a few days now. I was tasting it a while ago, and it has a nice flavor to it. And a couple of eggs. One large and one small. Most of my large hens are not laying too well this time of year. I'm going to save most of the mozzarella to put on the top of the lasagna. No, I'm not using all of my mozzarella anyway, but I mean most of what I've grated here. But I will add some to this level. My mozzarella was so soft it wouldn't grate very well, so I partially froze it, and that seems to have done the trick. Now, I will add salt and pepper to this as well, but I'm going to add the Italian secret spice here. If you've ever had something in an Italian restaurant and you couldn't quite figure out what the background flavor was, in lasagnas and things like this, a lot of Italian cooks add a little nutmeg. And it doesn't sort of taste like nutmeg when it finishes. You're kind of wondering what that is. It's a nice flavor in the background. Oh, I almost threw you on the floor. Well, that's my 2 cheeses in there, but the third cheese I'm going to add is Parmesan. And this is Grande cheese, I guess is the brand name. Anyway, I get this at Costco and I really like it. It's flakes of Parmesan. That to the mix here. And as I said, I'll add salt and pepper. And we'll be back in a few minutes here. Now I start by just putting a light layer of the sauce in the bottom of the pan here. And then in with the noodles. Cooked and drained, and then I put them in cold water, which actually gets quite warm from the hot noodles, but keeps them from sticking together and makes them easier to handle. So there is that layer. It's quite a shallow dish, so it's not going to be a very deep lasagna. But to this I'm just going to add a layer of the sauce, saving enough sauce to go on top. When it's finished, the final layer. And another layer of noodles. And now the layer of spinach. Spinach and cheeses and eggs. Throwing you all around here. Difficult to work with a camera. Final layer of noodles. sauce. When I bake this, I'll put it on a tray, probably a tray lined with aluminum foil, in the event that it boils over. It isn't exactly a wet. The noodles will absorb a lot of the sauce, but to be on the safe side, and then my mozzarella on top here. Goes in a 375-degree oven. There isn't anything here that has to really cook other than, well, the spinach can cook up a little bit, but it's basically to heat it through really good and to get the cheese browned on top. So probably about 30 minutes or more, a little more, in the 375-degree oven. I don't think that looks too terribly messy, not perfect. I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. So just out of the oven, closer to an hour than a half hour, I guess, at least 50 minutes. I just mainly because I wanted the cheese to brown some on top, and it has started to brown. As you can see down in here, it did boil over a little bit, so I'm glad it's on that tray with foil. And now to let it rest for 15 minutes or so. It will absorb some of the juices, if there's any juices left in it, I haven't boiled out of it, and cool down some before I cut it. Well, it came out of the pan quite nicely, and fortunately it freezes well, or I would be eating this non-stop, I guess, for the next few days. Some of the spinach layer here. Yeah, that's quite good, if I must say so myself, with two of my homemade cheeses in it. And the nutmeg, if you've never added nutmeg to your lasagna or some of your Italian sauces or whatever, give it a try. It's there in the background. I can taste it now knowing what it is, but it doesn't really taste of nutmeg. It just adds a very nice flavor. See if I can't cut this to show you the interior of it. Talking with my mouth full here. There. The lighting isn't the best in here in the dining room at night, but I guess it's as bright as I can get things. Well, thank you very much for watching. This video will come out in Canada and Great Britain what is called Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. So I'm a little late to wish you a Merry Christmas, but I hope you had a very happy Christmas. And I'll take this opportunity to wish you all the best for 2016. Thank you very much for watching.